Good morning all, how are we today? Can you guys hear me okay, or do we need to get a bit more volume into this? Pretty good, you all right? Good work, good work. Well, thank you for all coming out to the Branxton Scams Forum. We'll hear today from Luke, and we'll also hear today from Sam as well. So Luke reached out to me when we met here at Anzac Day, and he's seen that we did a scams forum down the lake a little bit later last year, and said that he think it'd be a good thing to do here. And by the crowd we've got just from this one little area, it obviously is something that is well needed in this area, and is needed all around Australia, to be perfectly honest. The scams that are happening now are ridiculous. There's scams from anything from a text message to an email link to clicking on a website. There is so many different things, and Luke and Sam will go through big parts of what that is, and then I'll have a little chat at the end as well. But I'd like to just thank everyone for showing up. I'd like to thank Chad, Liz and Tara and my team for getting today sorted, and you'll all have a goodie bag there. Make sure you take it home, and it's got a whole lot of information in there around scams, and it's got a little black book of scams, which used to be much smaller than that when I first started 2 years ago, and it's gotten much bigger in that period of time. So, but I could definitely tell you, and I'll tell you more at the end of this, of what the government is doing. There's lots happening from our end on this, because we understand how big of an issue this is for people like yourselves in this room, and also people all around Australia. So I'd like to call Luke up to say a few words and to just take us through his presentation. Thank you.
Cheers. Oh, thank you. I'll just run with my voice. So I've been going for about 4 years now, helping people with their computers and devices and whatnot. And it's good to see a few familiar faces that I've helped out throughout the years come. And basically, this all started because when someone was getting scammed on their computer, they would be locked out by the bank for any net banking or anything like that. So they would need a computer person to go around, fix their computer, write a report for them to be able to do their banking on the internet again. So sitting there with people that have lost thousands and thousands of dollars, so I thought I'd push forward and do something for the community. If I can at least stop one person in the room getting scammed, I just feel like I've done some justice. So I'll keep it as basic as possible, which I think everyone can appreciate. But any questions, I find throughout the talk, if you've got any questions, just raise your hand and talk away at that certain point. So let's get started. So getting the right tools for your needs. So we'll talk about like the types of scams that you can get from emails, messages, phone calls, social media. We'll touch base on all of them, what to look out for each type of those scam, and what can you do. So I'll be talking about computers for this talk, and this is my first time buddying up with Sam at Phone Champ, and it's great because, hello? Yeah, that's a bit better. So Sam will talk about predominantly just phones. So just about everyone has phones now, and I think it's just a good mix to go what not to do on a computer, and what to do, and what not to do, and what to do on a phone. So we'll just get started. So the goal is getting your money and personal information. So basically, the different types of scams, you've got the phishing scams, impersonators, and the tech support. So there's no doubt in my mind that everyone in here has at least got an email pretending to be Netflix, Norton, McAfee, any of those types of things coming through and targeting a bunch of people hoping that someone will click those links. And to be honest, it's quite a big one. People always click those links in those emails, and it's so detrimental now that those scams are getting quite good. So those links will grab your information, password from if you're using Outlook or a third party, email setup and sending it straight through to those people. The impersonators, pretending to be someone they're not, which is such a big one. Pretend to be Telstra, Microsoft, any of these phone calls that you're getting through, and it's mind-blowing to think like everyone has problems with Telstra. So the chances they're going to get someone by ringing up going, hey, we're from Telstra, we're noticing you're having trouble with your internet. Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, and all right, so can we just confirm your information? And there you go. And the tech support. This is becoming quite a big one. It's from your computer, and a big full screen might come up on your computer. And this is maybe just clicking on a website or going to a website, and it's not actually a virus or anything. It is just a web page that full screens your computer. You can't click out of it. You can't escape out of it. You shut down your computer, turn it back on, and there it is again. Now, this one worries me a lot. So I had my mother, she got it on her computer. She calls me straight away, and it's, for me, such a simple fix to get rid of. However, a month later, she hears, because it comes with a loud beeping noise, and it gets people all rolled up. It's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do to fix it? And they call the number, and then, oh, we need to get onto your computer to fix the problem. And then it starts. However, my father got it a month later, and it just so happened that her ears popped up, and he's on the phone going, hi, is this Microsoft? And then she's like, hey, what are you doing? You know? Now, the worrying thing, he knows what I do for a job. I've been doing it for 4 years, and then his first point is to call them. Like, and then I'm just like, that's how easy it is to, like, it's just thrown into his head that he's getting this loud beeping sound, and he's all stressed out from it. He's like, oh no, whether he didn't want to annoy me or whatever, but it really hit home when he was calling them for his first point of call. So protecting yourself. With the emails, is just, if you're unsure about it, for emails, messages, anything like that, just go with your gut. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen is if someone's chasing you for a bill that's outstanding or anything like that, get them, log into your account and see for yourself. So there is 99% of the time, you do not need to click on those links in the emails. If there's an outstanding bill or you need to update these details, log into your account, open up a browser and see for yourself. Now, I used to be under the impression of you could tell from the email address. So, for example, I built my website through Wix.com, this American company. I had an email from them, and it was from support@Wix.com. So I'm like, all right, that's come from that company. You're behind in your payment. I thought, oh, that's a bit funny. Clicked into it, updated.
That's me. I'll give you this one. Try that one.
Yeah. Is that all right?
We've made them worse.
Well, he's a tech
not-
guy, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yes. I don't, it's not, is it feedback?
You want a hammer?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
maybe we'll get that one back. Yeah. So I'll turn this one back on for you and try and get that one off. There we go.
All right. So, back to it. Yeah, I deal with Wix, this American company. Had the email come from them. I saw it was at Wix.com. That's legitimate from their company. No one else could have that email address or domain. They've paid for it, they own it. Now, I got a text message the next morning, early in the morning. If you receive this email, do not click into it. And I just thought, oh, rightio. Now, what had happened was that a rogue employee within the company had sent that email out. So after that point, I was like, stuff whatever that email, whoever it comes from, I will log into my account and see for myself that that's legitimate, that's what's happened. So don't try and decipher the email or anything, just, all right, I'm with you, I'll check, or I'll log into my Telstra account and I'll see for myself that that's the issue. The addresses do give it away quite easily. Like you might have an email address that goes for this long at gmail.com coming from, oh, you're behind in your Microsoft payment. It's like, well, that's not from them, so it's an easy, all right, thanks for your time, delete, out, or right-click, block. So you try and mitigate those emails. You're never going to get rid of them. They're always just going to bombard your inbox like nothing. Grammatical errors, they're a classic. They usually give it away, missing a few words here and there, trying to sound professional, doesn't work. The contact details, you may have come across an email, say from FedEx. Oh, we've got a parcel for you. Can you just write your details in this email so we've got the right details on our file? Anything that asks you to put your details in, except for if you know you're creating an account and you're going through those things, sure. But just from an email or a Facebook link or anything like that, just be very vigilant on what you do. And the big thing is, across any device, just don't click the links. Messages, anything, just don't click them. So with your phones, for example, I started getting the spam through from Australia Post or those sorts of scams. Oh, your doctor needs you to log in here and check this out. So I was like, why is this happening? But then I found out that if one person clicks that link on their phone, has me in their contacts, that sends the whole contact list off to them. And then hence why you start getting the things, you're like, I didn't put my phone number anywhere. It's someone else that has you on their phone that's sent off. So, yeah. So, and just, no personal information given out. Threats. This is the one where people get done quite a bit, is that the scare tactics is, hey, I'm calling up from the Australia Federal Police. We need your laptop to save the world, and I had one and they were in their mid-30s and they had the Federal Police call up, we need your computer because we've got to hunt down this pedophile. Now, they're in their state, just like they've got them all worked up. It's like, oh, it's relying on us, These weren't tech-savvy people, so they're very easy to just manipulate. It's like, well, I don't know. They gave them their passport, driver's license, everything. So I've gone there and I'm like, okay, you're being scammed. And she told me and I'm like, phew, that's, you're going to have to go to Services New South Wales, get a new license, passport. But it's funny, when I go do these jobs, 95% of the time, the person always feels silly. They just sit there and go, oh, I kind of knew it was a scam, or I feel so stupid that I fell for this. But you got to realise, like, I think it was last financial year, it was like just in Australia, it was like $2 billion just in Australia for scams. So you could imagine how much worldwide this is. Like, it's massive. And where it comes from, it's like there's these set up hubs in India that that's their job, is contact. But you'll find that they work off time. So if they get a sense that they're not getting anywhere, they'll just hang up, next phone number. Hang up, next phone number. So I do get a lot of people feeling that they're getting hacked. Now, to hack an individual computer is very difficult. Very difficult. And a lot of the times, if someone is going to hack you, you'll know them or know of them, and it'll be in your circle. Like, they're not going to go out and just hack someone for willy-nilly. They're going to, they know you've got a lot of money in your account. Try and hack into your computer that way. But it becomes very personable. So the days of, and they're going to spend their time on the likes of, Optus getting scammed or Services New South Wales getting scammed. And they're going to get a lot of data out of that because there's a huge amount of money just in data, and not only just in stealing people's cash, but just selling that data off to people is huge. The tech support scams, which we've already kind of touched on, but the big takeaway here is the remote access to your computer. So the three things I live by is don't let anyone on your computer, whether they're tech support or pretending to be whoever. They will get straight into your computer, and if you've got saved passwords or bank account on there, they'll throw up a dummy screen that you can't see what they're doing, and it'll be all in the background. Stealing, doing what they've got to do. But then I've had a lot that they'll try and hold them ransom, deleted their data, or if you want your data back, you're going to have to pay all this money into crypto, and you're never going to get it back. So a big thing is, with the people, when you feel like you've been done and feel a bit silly, don't hesitate to call. Like, there'll be no judgment from our side. It's just, all right, what can we do to help, and what steps can we take so we can either try and get your money back or just put extra protection in there for you. Yes? Myself, Sam. Oh, you'll have a card. I can give you a card and all that. So, does anyone have any questions or things about their experiences? Like if you've been scammed or had people trying to get into your accounts, or everyone's pretty
I tried to pay for a holiday last year and NAB blocked the transaction. I was in the company's website. NAB kept blocking me. I had it in the NAB fraud squad, and they said I was actually paying the money to a company called Adult Clothing Company.
right.
Scam, so they said it was an elaborate scam.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Proper website. I don't know how that happened.
the other thing as well is big scams going through companies now. So with the staff they have, like a company might have staff on there and they've clicked a link on an email. The details go out to this person so they can access their email. You probably won't see anything for a company one. They'll see stuff in the background, so they'll see invoices coming through and they'll replicate the invoice, send off to that person and say, hey, our bank details have changed. Now it's coming from their email address, so the company thinks, oh, this is legit, and we'll change your bank details for you. Huge one, and I've seen it nearly ruin businesses with that sort of thing. And on that as well, with the bank, I find the dealings that I've had with is Commonwealth are great. They're probably the leaders in the stopping the scammers. Now, they've pushed across with their OSCO payment, which should go straight across. They're like, if it's to a new account, 24 hours. So it gives you that bit of leeway to just cut it off when you can. I've had NAB before. It was a removalist company that I helped. She let Microsoft onto her computer 4 payments of $8,000 to a US company, straight like that. And the husband came home, and you could imagine, just furious and didn't know what to do. So I said, look, call NAB. Oh, we hopped onto his net banking on his phone, and it had pending. And I was like, oh, great. We'll call them, stop the payments. Called NAB. The young fellow was on the phone, and he said, I know it says pending, but the transaction's already gone. And he said, well, it's to a brand new to a brand new place over in the States that I've never paid into before, and 4 payments of $8,000 just went straight out. And you're telling me I can't get that back? I was sitting right there, and the response was, well, you shouldn't have let anyone on your computer. And I thought, that is disgusting. And the poor guy, he couldn't pay his staff, he couldn't, so he was in all sorts. And I felt so sorry for him, but I was just like, for a bank, like that's pretty poor form. Who's listening to me? Oh, that's your man there. He'll talk about that. Yeah, so, and a mate and I have tested that. Never played chess. We talked about chess and bam, getting ads for chess. Like, it's getting a bit crazy. And the scary thing is it's going to get so much worse. Like, with the likes of AI coming in and stuff like that. Like, it's getting very scary with, especially those scams that were going around. It went pretty hard through COVID, where you get a message from either your son or daughter, hey, I'm using my friend's phone. I've lost my phone. Can you send money to this bank account? Now, the scary thing is, it won't be too far down the track. You'll be getting a call from this person that sounds exactly like your son or daughter. Pretend to be. It'll end up basically trying to have a family PIN number that you guys only know. Yep.
Well, just before you move on,
sure.
You mentioned remote access.
Yep.
People might not understand how they gain that.
Yeah.
For instance, bringing up the run box, they ask you to type in HTTP, etc.
Yep.
Which means you're actually running a program off the internet somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever other methods there are, could you sort of...
Yeah, yep. So it's a little bit hypocritical from my point as well, because I have a lot of customers that I have set up a remote access program TeamViewer on their computer. So if they have any trouble, I can remote in and help them out. Now, I embed in those people, and I'll name the program Newcastle Tech Guy. This is only for me, no one else. But there's many programs, TeamViewer, AnyDesk, and as you said, like putting in getting you to put in an address into the run box and things like that. But if you ever get them to say, I need to log onto your computer, I need you to download this program, I need you to do this on your computer, nil. Just thanks for your time, see you later. But on that as well, it becomes very scary that I had a couple of customers through HP and Canon where they had trouble with their printers, and there was an overlay on the front of the HP and Canon site that you go down to the chat bubble and that's not actually them. So you're thinking you're clicking on the chat bubble on the HP website, oh yeah, we can help with your printer, I just need to gain remote access in to help you out. And and there was one guy that was pretty savvy with computers, got done. And I'm kind of like, I know it's like as soon as someone wants to get on a computer, done, but he thinks he's at a legitimate site, which he is. Now, those companies should, in big bold letters of the red, no staff will be asking to get onto your computer. But no, they're embarrassed about it. They put it right down the bottom of their website in little letters. We've been having issues with security issues. Don't let anyone on a computer. Now, that in my mind, I'm like, that's ridiculous. Put it up the top, red writing. No one will want access to your computer. If you get to the point that someone's on your computer and it makes you feel uneasy, straight off the internet. Shut down your computer. That'll stop the connection.
And your modem.
What's that?
If you're on the modem in your office, shut down the modem. I get caught a couple of months back. Shut the modem down, they didn't have any trouble.
That's right.
Everything went down, this went down, my iPad and my laptop went down. Left it for 2 hours, switched it back on, there was nobody there.
Yeah. However, there is a degree of how much damage they can do in a certain amount of time. If you can get them off within 5 minutes, yeah,
The switch is there.
that's it. That's it. But if you've gotten to a point where you've let that person onto your computer, your brain's going through that whole situation going, oh, I feel a bit uneasy, but I'm watching what they're doing. Oh, are they doing this? Are they doing that? And then over this time, they've probably installed their programs on there. So even if you plug the modem in a day later, they've installed their programs that they can.
I never get any kickback after that.
Yeah, but a lot of that time it does happen. So I had one of my old customers, I got all his data off his hard drive without turning his computer on, and I plugged his computer in because he said he let the guy on there for about 2 hours. And I plugged his hard drive back in, booted up his computer, but mind you, all the files I had already gotten off, and then within 2 minutes, I had a screen come up, mouse is moving around, I was like, you piece of work. Like, just, and then they're straight on there going, oh, he's back online. Boom, straight onto his computer and trying to, and then he was calling me up, he's gone, mate, they're calling me saying, they've got all my data and, oh, if you want it all back, you know, pay this money. I said, hey, if they call you back, give them what for, you know, just let your mouth run loose to them. And so, yeah, they just, the amount of time you let them on your computer, the more damage they take, and becomes a lot more complicated. Yeah, sharing personal information. And no doubt, if you've got Facebook, you would have seen a couple of posts come through, and they go, answering questions, say, what's your dog's name? Oh, where were you born? And all these questions, and people answer them. And it's like, oh, I've done my part. I elect this person to do their personal information. And they do it. And I tell you, like, a lot of people, their passwords is their pet's name. You know, it's usually their pet's name, or, you know, something along those lines. So just don't put your information out there as much as you can, really. Don't be embarrassed. Just call us straight away, or any tech person around that area, or take your stuff in and just go on, I've been done, just clean it, get it over and done with. I don't want any nasty pop-ups throughout. So we've got to give it a deep clean to do that report for, say, the banks, to go, yep, it's all good to go. So I know a lot of people would be really proud and feel super embarrassed that they've been scammed, but trust me, it's just every day. And you know what? People are still getting done with, like, that email coming through, oh, the Prince of Persia needs your help. Send some money through to help him. Like, people are still, you know, feeling sorry for him and giving him some cash. Like, so don't think like you're being done and there's no one else that's been done. Like, it's getting real crazy. These are the, if you see these icons, they're your remote applications that predominantly get used. There is a lot for people getting a support call saying, oh, your laptop or computer's been infected. We need you to type in this address and download this and whatever. But these are the two prominent ones, like AnyDesk or TeamViewer. If you ever see that icon up there that myself or any other computer tech around the area hasn't put on there for you, just it's a guaranteed no. Get it off your computer, or call me, or call one of them. Just like, we've got this. Two-step authentication, which Sam will go through a bit, but that's kind of a step that is become super necessary. Like without your phone, these people can't get past it. So two-step is such a safe bet. However, I've got my authenticator and everything on my phone, and I'd lost my phone. Very, very difficult to get those two-step authentications back to a new phone or any of those steps. So it has its pros and its cons, but I feel the pros outweigh the cons, especially when it comes getting scammed.
You have to do that when you change your phone also.
That's right. So, I mean, phones are getting better now where you'll make a profile of them, it keeps your profile, and you can have Find My Phone and all these sorts of things on there and be able to get the data off. But I know with those authenticator apps, that's not a part of that account setup. So it's a whole different sort of setup that you have to do, and then try and get that back on to the new phone is super difficult. Now, I bet a show of hands who still has their passwords in books. Yeah. You know what? Good. Good. It's in books. A lot of places I turn up and they go, I bet you're going to ask me for a password. And I'm like, yep. And they're like, I don't. So hats off to the people who've got it in their books. At least you've got the passwords. However, I use a subscription for my passwords. Very easy to use. Like I know Norton comes with a password manager, or most antiviruses do now, that will create the password for you. And half of my passwords, or even more, I don't even know. I let it generate a password for me and set. And they, as a company, they don't even have your password. So even if they hack into their system, they won't be able to see anyone's passwords. Once again, if I ever lose my password for this, it's gone. Like they don't have any, oh yeah, we'll reset your password or anything like that. It's just, sorry, you've lost all that. So, but at the end of the day, I've got to remember one password to get into that. A few interesting emails that I've come across. Now, as I said, no reply at Microsoft.com. Now, you're looking at that and going, yeah, that's got to come from them, no one else. However, I know Microsoft or Google will never put in their emails a link. So it was very funny to me that I saw that link there and I hovered over it and it's going to some Gmail account. So this one really surprised me a lot, just to show that how they were able to get this correct and then this link going to some Gmail account. So it just flags me like no links, click no links in those accounts, or in the emails. This is one of, this is an example, but this is what would full screen your computer, showing, your PC's been blocked for these security reasons. Call Windows support. Now that would show up, and it's such like this loud buzzing, beep, 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 and it throws that fear into you and gets you all worked up. It's like, oh no, I've done something wrong, and call the support like my old man was. Another one, locked, can't click out of it, can't do anything, and I like it because they even put a link here for you to click. It won't do anything, it'll send them information. Yep.
Can you get out of those that you just done this? Can you close it down?
You can.
Without calling an IT?
I've got a process, like, it's kind of like if I went Control-Alt-Delete, brings up like a sign out option and all this in Task Manager. I click into and I see Google Chrome and Task, and it gets rid of the screen. It closes down Google Chrome, because that's all that is just a Google Chrome page. And then Task Manager, find Google Chrome, end task. And that'll shut that down, get rid of it. And it's like just a notification, but they make it so.
Turn off your internet, for instance. Would that close it down, or next time you turn it on the internet, it'll come back?
Yeah, so it'll program it to come up, like Google Chrome will shoot up to be one of the startup apps and just full screen you. And then you're back in the same situation, you can't get out of it. Doesn't matter if you're on the internet or not. It'll just be programmed to open. I reckon everyone's got one of these in their email box. McAfee. Now, just quickly on that, I'm not a big fan of any of the security trend. Hey?
I don't use them.
No. I find they're more of a scam than, they're just about the same scammy as like any other scam. Like especially Norton, you've got notifications come from the site going, oh, we detected such and such viruses or things on your computer. You need to pay an extra $20 a month to get rid of them. Like that, in myself, like that's a scam. And those things they're talking about is nothing. So the way Windows works now is it's got its own defender. So it's kind of gone are the days where a full-blown virus gets on your computer. Like a virus was a program that would get onto your computer and do its damage. But now, Microsoft Defender, you might have noticed if you install a program, it'll come up, do you wish to allow this program to make changes to your computer?
Mine comes on every time I switch my laptop on.
Yeah,
Comes down the bottom, says we didn't find any problems.
yeah.
That was it.
So, yeah, as soon as you go, no, I didn't start any program, that null and voids the virus. So it kind of just stops it. Back in the day, Windows, terrible security. And that's why you needed those other virus programs. But now, they come null and void, and they embed themselves in everything and slows down your computer. And yeah, yep. Sam can talk about that. I'm not your Apple person. Yeah, but I don't deal with any Apple equipment. All right, I'll pass on to Sam. Any questions about that? Yes, Dick.
Look, I hear all the time all these scams and going on and current affair and et cetera. I've never heard anyone get punished.
Oh, on that. So I follow these guys on YouTube. They're called Scammers Payback, and they do a whole thing of pretending to be an elderly person, let the scammers on their computer, and in that time, they're getting onto their computer. So they're getting all the information. They've been able to log into their cameras and see their whole outfit. However, that's in India. They're in America doing it. Now, America has no jurisdiction in India. So they can send them all their information, and the Indian government's probably done like a few raids of these places, but all they do, pack up, go to the next level, set up there, start again. So it's never going to stop over there. Like the revenue they're making over there, I couldn't imagine the Indian government going, pulling a full task force in to just trying to take these people out. Like how easy it is just for them to just set up somewhere else and have their phone list that they've gained and just start again. Like it's just too big a business. But it's a lot of people, like it'll just be never ending and they'll just get better and better at it. And yeah, which is scary. We can just try and protect ourselves. Like if I'm doing my duty, it's not just for people in here. It's like if you overhear someone, oh yeah, I've got tech support issues. It's like, hey, hang on. I heard that you don't do this, or just to have a bit of a snowball effect throughout the community. Hey, it wouldn't, but predominant. It's probably at 90% of it comes from them. Yeah, it's crazy.
I've got an Asian phone call from a small country town where I come from, up at Poor. Do they bounce off the towers in those small country agents there scamming people.
Yeah,
They've run out of town.
well, Sam can talk probably about those phone calls because they can change their number. Yeah, a lot. So,
A mile long where I just, when they send a message, I just go instantly ring, instantly hang up and then block.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that.
Is that a good move?
Well, that's all you can do, really. And as I said, they'll just keep changing their numbers. It'll just be one after another, and it just gets nuts.
One more question.
Yep.
Smart TVs, with scammers getting into your smart TVs.
I haven't seen it firsthand.
Address in the smart TV to access all the Netflix and all the movie channels.
I haven't seen it firsthand. I've heard of it, but I'd imagine that they'd have to be a part of your network. But even then, if they're just after logging info from your TV, I'd find that'd be super difficult. Yeah.
Shut the modem down. It's got to run through the modem.
It's true. Well, if you cut yourself from the internet, yeah, you're.
My whole house.
But once again, it won't stop your phone calls or text messages. Yeah.
Looks after itself.
Yeah. So,
No, there's enough in there to look after itself.
yeah. There wasn't. Yep.
I'm with PayPal,
Yep.
so what's the issue?
With PayPal.
Yeah,
No, I'm all for PayPal.
oh, okay, because it had,
Oh, that was them trying to pretend to be McAfee. So, or PayPal. It's like they've put the PayPal symbol there to make it look a bit more legitimate. Yeah. So,
it wasn't McAfee and PayPal that was the issue.
no, they're just sending this to people, hoping that you will call them. That's.
He's talking at the same time.
Oh, no, yes, right. So they want you to call that number at the end of the day because your subscription will renew today for $419. So the person will sit there and go, well, hang on, I don't want that going out. I'll call this number, and then it starts. Oh, well, let me onto your computer so I can fix that up for you. Yeah, switch it off. Look, yeah, that's it. Trust me. Yep.
You don't know who it's from or in. These people don't call you. Any people that you're in, like phones and anything else that you're into, they don't call you. Your bank doesn't call you. Your phone doesn't call you. Switch them off.
Actually, on that, I did get a call from the ATO.
Switch that one off.
Yeah, yeah, I wish I could. And then she said to me, oh, I just want to confirm your details. Can you confirm your name and address? I was like, hang on. Who is this? You know, and it's ATO. Now, it ended up being legitimate. I'm like, out of everyone, I was very surprised that was coming from a government agency, or the ATO, that was being legitimate. And then within 10 seconds of the call going, can I confirm your details, who you are and address? And I was like, well, hang on, yeah. And I said, well, what I'll do, you send me the email to my MyGov inbox, I'll log in, see it was you, and it was them. So I was blown away. I'm like, whoa, hang on, like, need a different sort of setup for that. But, yep.
I had a phone call the other day from a guy who he didn't identify himself. He just said, I'm looking for a Joe Blow that used to live at an address that I lived at prior to my current address. And I'm thinking, I didn't say anything. And he said, I said, I don't know that name. And I said, how did you get my phone number without saying that I did live at that address? And he said, I have access to a database that gives me the names, addresses and phone numbers of people that lived at that, used to live at that address. I just hung up. But where would he have been coming from? What was he after?
Russia.
Good chance. It could have been anywhere. It's where that data is just being Like when Services New South Wales got scammed, you can imagine all that data of people's addresses, phone numbers, names, everything that has just been gathered, even Optus, when it got scammed, all the information in that. And that just gets on-sold to all these people, and then they just have that information. And then they'll try and hit to home that it'll make it more personable. But it becomes a gut thing. It's like, well, hang on, this doesn't feel right. All right, see you later. Yeah, so...
Being on Windows, you go into a site, log in for the first time, and it says, do you want to save your user ID and password? Is it okay to do that? To use it again, so that when you go in next time, you don't have to put in your user ID and password? It comes
I know the ease of it, hence why I use the likes of Dashlane and those password managers, because even if they get into your computer, you need a master password to get into it. So where with Chrome, if I'm doing a job for someone and they're like, oh, I don't know what that password is, it takes me 5 seconds to bring up all their passwords. So when that person gets onto your computer and you've saved it all in Chrome or Edge or wherever, it's very easy to bring up all those passwords and then go.
What's the name of some of the companies that you can use for password management?
You've got 1Password, Dashlane. If you use Norton, they'll get their password manager. But you can do a lot of searching. Look at reviews of places, like people selling on those ads on Facebook. They're such a big scam. Like marketplace is becoming huge. You know, I'm selling this new dryer for $50. Someone's come pick it up, but if you want to pay now, I'll save it for you. You pay the money, you won't get it. So I always say, it's like, put the cash in their hand and have the thing right in front of you when you're paying for it. Don't try and get ahead of the ball and go, oh yeah, I'll give you a deposit. Good chance you will never see that deposit again. So.
Luke, you mentioned about not clicking onto links. However, when you're using a booking site like for an event where there is a link and a QR code, is the QR code safer than a link?
So with the links, if you know it's coming through, because there's some sites you register for that site, hey, we've sent you a verify email, and they'll send you that email that's got the verify button on there. If you know that you have done that and expecting that, it'd be very rare that you would get that exact email at that exact time for that exact purpose. Yes, that's a link that I would probably click on. I knew it was coming from. If you knew your family was sending you photos and those came across all attachments, sure. But yeah, 98% of the time I wouldn't touch them. Yeah.
QR codes are just a link. So basically, the dot pattern, the phone recognizes that as essentially a language, and it just is a glorified way of typing in a link. So really, it does the same thing, but it's just more convenient than typing it out. Yeah.
Anyone else? Yep.
Yeah, like you were saying about the ATO ringing you up, is it unusual for the federal government to ring you?
Unless there's an election coming up.
I have a bloke ringing me from the federal government too. I forget who he was now, and he said, don't mind if I asked you a few questions. I said, listen pal, I don't know who you are. I said, I'm not answering anything. I hung up on him. But then a fortnight later I received a nasty letter from him, so I said, he must have been fair dinkum. But when he rang me up, I thought, well, they don't ring you up to ask you questions. They generally get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. No.
It's not unusual for him to do it.
No. Oh well. Yep.
Just for phone scans,
The-
something that I've used for phone scans,
Yeah.
it seems to work 90% of the time. I've got on my message bank a message saying, so that when I get an unknown number, I don't answer it. There are lists, I'll tell you what they are, but I don't answer it. And then I get a message saying, please leave a message. So I leave a message, and then and I've got on the message bank saying, if I don't know you, your number, you probably haven't answered because I think you're a scammer. If you're not a scammer, I'll leave a message and I'll ring you back. That, you normally find, gets rid of the scammers. However, the risk of that is your doctor's trying to ring you and it's a non-thing. So I'm now trying to put all my doctor's phone numbers, but sometimes they don't use their phone numbers that are in their books and all. So there is that risk that you take.
That's right.
But I would think the doctors would probably leave a message. I've thought about the other one, which is saying your message is important to me, but the wait is 300 minutes. If you'd like to wait or leave a message, that might work better.
Yeah.
You take the book out of the Domino's.
Yeah. No, there's lots of ways to do it, but at the end of the day, there's no perfect solution. There's no, and as I said, they're going to get trickier. They're going to get better at it. Way to do it, because I think everyone's across those phones now. You get a call from them, it goes silent, and then boom, you're in a factory, and it's like, yeah, okay, rightio. But I know just with the AI stuff, like you can say 3 words now, and it'll replicate your voice, and then. Yeah, and you know what? Wasted opportunity. Like, I've had it many times where I had a scammer. If I'm having a crap day, I'll give them what for over the phone. I feel kind of better, you know. And it's just like they'll hang up within 5 seconds, but you just like, oh yeah, I feel a bit better after that. Yeah, so.
Voice recognition, they have voice recognition, so.
It'll come. It'll come to that point, because you could imagine you get that phone call that it's dead for that 5-second period. You go, hello, who's there? Hello. Boom, 3 words. So it'll become better and better. It's just we start preparing for it and notice them. Yep.
Is it all right to use the whistle? Could they bring it up?
Yeah, go for it. Big blowhorn. Yeah. Yep.
For the invoice scams, if I'm setting up a new payee, I always only send over about $5 and then I ring them up.
Great.
To see if they got it.
Yep.
And that way I know they're legit, and also I know I put the numbers in right.
Yeah, 100%. And I had a customer the other day that bought a computer off me, sent $100 across, got in contact with me. Did you receive that? 100% on the ball, and I felt great. It's like, you're all over it. But yeah, if any of those things came through saying, we've changed our bank details, we've done this, call them. Hey, was that you? Was that you that sent in that? And most of the time it would be, no, that wasn't us. Because the company usually knows now to call through, hey, we've changed our bank details, I'll send you through the new stuff. Exactly. But you're always going to have that employee that, that clicks those links or does something that you've got to try and protect all of them for. So anyway, I'll pass on to Sam. I'll hang around afterwards if you need a card or want to chat about anything else.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll put it, yeah, you've been holding it in place for the last half an hour. Alrighty. I'm Sam. I own Phone Champ. You might have seen my kiosk when you walk into Coles at Huntley just here. And I'm going to be talking mostly about phone stuff related today. Cool. Alrighty. I apologize. So Luke and I will probably talk about some similar things. We've tried to I talk about some different things to Luke, but there's some realities, there's some really key points we're going to try and drive home for you guys today. So the reality is how secure is my phone? Your phone's pretty clever, right? So these days, Apple, Google, Samsung, all of the people who make your phone have had decades to optimize your phone for all sorts of malware attacks and all these different things that can possibly happen. But because everybody has a phone in their pocket these days, it means that they're an incredibly huge market to be scammed in. You'll probably notice that every couple of months, your phone gets a new update through the settings. Many people are typically against updating their phone because, you know, I like the way it looked beforehand, or I knew where all the buttons were, or whatever the case is. It felt like it was faster beforehand. But those updates are really important for 2 key factors. The first one just being general bug fixes. Sometimes your phone will start to lag, or it will slow down, and each of those updates comes and fixes those problems for you. But more importantly, all those updates come with security patches. So every couple of months, as new malware develops, your phone provider is also keeping up with those new attacks as well. So every couple of months, they refresh their security and keep it primed so it's always in the best state of protection. If you let your phone get significantly behind on updates, you can be opening yourself up to some more simple attacks that the phone would just deal with itself otherwise. But the reality is your phone will automatically tell you of suspected spam calls most of the time. It will filter text messages directly to spam if it thinks it's illegitimate. You'll find when you're in your emails, you've got an entire bin of spam emails that you just probably never check or just go through and delete them all, because you'll be getting tons. Like if I go on my emails, I've probably got about 40 emails this morning, right? And they're just rubbish that I never need to look at, and the phone would just automatically filter them for you. Your phone, sorry, I haven't done public speaking since I was in high school, I think, so it's been a little while. Yeah. Similarly, when you open a new app for the first time, it usually gives you a whole bunch of pop-ups. Like it'll say, if I download Facebook, for example, it will say, do you give permission for Facebook to access your camera? Or can it access your photos? All these different things. And the reality is if an app doesn't need the access, if I don't want Facebook to use camera, I can just tell it no, and your phone will never give Facebook permission to access that stuff. But then similarly, I also can't post a photo if I can't use the camera. So there's that, what does it actually need to have access to? Similarly, your phone is automatically set up to not install apps from an unknown source. So for iPhones, this isn't actually applicable. It just won't let you anyway. But on an Android device, if you're in Chrome and someone tries to download something onto your phone, it will actually prompt you first, do you want to install this? We do not trust it. And it will only install if you click yes. And that goes back to what Luke was saying earlier, where it's just slow down and take your time to carefully read through it first and decide, is this something that's actually something that I realistically need? Cool. So an issue will only occur on your phone if you let it. They're pretty clever just by themselves. They'll only get permission to do stuff if you actually click the button to let them. Cool. So I think with my next tab, it's really important to understand what the scammer's motivation is in order to help you determine if something is actually going to be legitimate. There are lots of ways that scammers can make money, and by knowing how they make their money lets me determine when I get that phone call, what are they going to be getting out of this phone call, and it helps me determine if it's going to be legitimate or not. At the end of the day, the world revolves around money, and scammers are no different. They're trying to make money. Starting with the obvious, they make money by gaining access to your bank and stealing yours. Right? By gaining access to your bank and stealing your money, right, is the most fundamental way that scammers operate. To do this, though, they either have to know your bank login and password, which they can only do so generally if you've given it to them, or B, they have access to your device via remote access. Both of those AnyDesk and remote access platforms are on your phone as well, not just for computers. They can apply to both these days. Second way they can make money is by selling you a fraudulent item. So this can be the holiday payments going to the wrong address, or the common Facebook scams where you pay for something and it never shows up. Or I got a charge a couple of months ago that I spent $700 at Samsung in Germany. Never did, right? Look, I'm never going to receive an item, but they've charged my account with some fraudulent thing. They can do this by, if your card details have ever been leaked and they've paid for something, or they could do it by also just tricking you into buying it of your own accord, and then generally they'll also have your card details after that as well. It's quite common too that scammers will request payment in the form of gift cards these days. And so they, similarly with those invoices that they sent, they may say you have to pay us in the form of gift cards. Once you purchase that gift card, the value is no longer in your account, it's on the gift card itself. And so there's no way for the bank to reclaim that money when it's a pending transaction. So if you want to go to Coles or Woolies and buy a gift card now, if that value is over $100, they will quiz you, why is this? Has someone tried to get you to pay with this in this form? Because gift cards are great, they're a legitimate tool, but as soon as you buy that gift card and send the code to someone, there is no chance you get that money back. The value is now with them. One thing that I find really interesting that most people don't know is that scammers make money by advertising to you. You guys, most of you might have a Facebook account. Facebook is this massive trillion-dollar company, and yet none of you ever pay them a cent. Like, they provide this social media platform for free. How are they making their money in a trillion-dollar company? The reality is they give you ads, right? So every couple of posts you scroll through, you get an ad for something. Those advertisers pay Facebook to show you those ads, and then because they showed you an ad, you're more likely to buy that item. And so Facebook gets paid that way. Scammers work in a similar way. If you've ever downloaded a game or things like that, and at the end of the level, it pops up with an ad that you have to wait 5 seconds to skip, right? That, by them showing you an ad, the person who has made that app for you is getting paid. Now, the amount is very little. Typically, an advertiser will get about 2 cents per ad shown, but you're getting an ad every 30 seconds. 1,000 other people have downloaded the app. They're getting an ad every 30 seconds, and this can really add up to them. So because of that, we see it really commonly these days. Now, so ads aren't inherently bad. If I want to watch a YouTube video, YouTube's got to get paid. I expect to watch an ad beforehand. That's how the world works. I expect someone to get paid. It's when it starts becoming a more nuisance than it being fair to everybody. We see apps these days where it's not just, I don't get the ad when I play the game. I leave the app, and then I start getting ads on my lock screen. I get pop-up ads when I'm just browsing the internet usually. I go into Facebook, and then my whole screen pops up with an ad that I still can't exit. That there is the app being malware, and they're getting paid by giving you ads. It's not just to be a pain. And then the last thing that Luke mentioned earlier too is they sell your data. So they sell your data for 2 reasons. The first being, if they accumulate data of your phone numbers, your email addresses, that can be sold to scammers, which now have your contact details so that they can reach out to scam you. But also, they sell your data in the way of your preferences. So if you scroll, and Facebook does this legitimately, you actually sign it when you agree to make your account with them. But if I am in a lot of group chats for buying and refurbishing cars, for example, so now I'm getting a whole lot of ads for car parts, etc. Facebook, Google, all these different providers learn your preferences, and then by learning what you're interested in, they sell that information to their advertisers, who can then advertise to you better and make you more likely to buy their stuff. So that's how Facebook gets paid, Google gets paid at every link across the way, because you make them more likely to buy your stuff. Scammers will do the same thing. If they get access to this pool of your information, that information is valuable. Lots of people are quite scared of using banking or payment processes on their phone, which is completely justifiable, right? We hear all these issues where people get these phone calls, my bank account gets scammed, all these different things. And so it's perfectly legitimate to be apprehensive of using this initially. But the reality is that banking and paying with your phone is generally pretty safe and pretty convenient. In regards to banking first, consider logging into the app, right? So if you've got your Westpac, your NAB account, your Commonwealth app on your phone, first of all, you must log into your phone, right? So if your phone's got a password protected, no one can get into your, if they steal your phone, no one can get into your phone, period, to start with, if they don't have your password. Then you'll have to put in another PIN code to get into the app itself, right? Which can be different to the one that logged into your phone. So even if someone got into your phone, they have to log into your bank account again. Then generally, your phone would auto-fill the passwords for your bank account for you. And so even if someone's looking over your shoulder, they don't see any of your bank account details or passwords or logins. And then your phone's pretty clever, right? So even if someone were to remote into your phone or whatever the case is and stuff, it would still require you to put the PIN in physically because they don't know it from just remoting into the device. It's incredibly difficult to get into your bank account details without you giving some form of permission to that, to that person who was trying to access it. Things like Pay ID are getting more common these days as well, where basically what your bank will do, Luke talked about OSCO previously, but Pay ID links your payment with your phone number. So if someone wanted to pay for something from you from Facebook Marketplace, you wouldn't even have to ever give out your bank details. You'd only have to give them your phone number, and the bank does the rest in their security for you. Yeah. Of course, yeah. So PayID is something you can enroll with your bank, where you link your bank account details with your phone number. And so when I want to buy something on Facebook and someone needs to pay me for it, I don't have to give them my BSB account details, etc., these information. I can just say, here's my phone number, and then it just appears in my bank account. So doing that means I have to reveal as little information about myself as possible, which is generally a pretty good thing. Yeah, right. And then second of all is Google Pay and Apple Pay. So you may have seen people at the supermarket where they just bring out their phone, they just tap their phone on it, it beeps, walk away. It's pretty cool, but it can be pretty intimidating if you don't really know what's happening. Basically, most phones have what's called an NFC antenna inside of them. NFC stands for Near Field Communication. This is the same thing that's just in your physical EFTPOS card that you have. So NFC can only work if it's within 5 centimeters of the scanner. So it has to be really close to the terminal. And on your phone, you have to put your password in before it will actually ever register an NFC scan. Your card doesn't do that. So people have talked about just skimming, and people have those special wallets that are designed to block RFID, which is the same technology that NFC works on, because people can kind of bump your pocket or get really close and they can register a payment. That won't happen with your phone because you'd have to physically have your phone out, put your password in, and then tap it to a terminal. It's a much more intentional process. Also what they do is they never actually touch your money. So Google Pay and Apple Pay, Samsung Pay does their own, and so does Huawei. They have their own alternatives. They only act as a transmission and a communication between your bank account and the retailer that you're spending it at. They never actually manage any of the money process and stuff for you. They simply just connect the two dots for you. But in that connection, they add a couple of cool things. So they do two main things, which is they add a whole security encryption layer to them, which is whoosh for the most part, but just cool that it's there. I can't really explain to you how that's going on. But they do something where they create a rolling fake card number for you. So what that means is that my physical card has all the 16 digits on the front of it and ends in 5496, blah, blah, blah. When I pay with my Google Pay, every time I make a transaction, it generates a brand new random card number on my behalf. So even in the case where my phone card details were to get stolen in a transaction, this is called skimming. They can be these little machines they put on top of the EFTPOS, and they basically blend in completely, and they will steal the card details every time you scan. It's quite common. You might have seen it recommended that if you're using an ATM machine, just give it a wiggle first before you put your card in. If you've ever heard that piece of advice. But in the event of it's on your phone, even if they were to skim that details, it's only valid for the current transaction. It can't be used in the next transaction, which makes skimming with Apple or Google Pay essentially completely irrelevant. Now, again, the world revolves around money. Why would Apple and Google offer this as a service? The reality is so using Apple and Google Pay is completely free, right? It's built into your phone already. The reason that they do it is it just becomes easier to spend with them in the future. Because now your card is saved into the phone, next time you want to rent a movie on the App Store or do anything else, it becomes button, password, done. And then they make their money through that transaction. 2FA and why your phone number is important. So first of all, 2FA stands for two-factor authentication, which Luke touched on earlier. Basically, it is using more than one factor, being two, to authenticate your identity as the legitimate user of what you're trying to log into. So your password would be one factor, and then several other ways can be the second. So this can be either an email code, where they'll send a code directly to your email address that you have to type in, or they'll send you a text message to your phone number you've got on file, or they'll send you a code to another device that you own, or they can send a code to something like an authenticator app here as well. Basically, this method is exponentially more secure than a single password. A single password, we can forget them. They can expire over time. They can get leaked or exposed. But if I can prove to you that I'm literally holding the device I'm trying to log into, so if you're sending me a code to my phone number that I'm holding, that's the most ideal way to prove it's probably me that's trying to use it, right? Someone else hasn't used my password overseas, I'm holding it. That's why the code goes directly to me. So that's why 2FA is so valuable. I thought this was interesting. A huge proportion of Aussies don't actually know their own phone number these days. In a lot of cases, your phone number is actually more important than having your password. If you ever forgotten your password and had to go through recovery steps, the first thing they ask you is, what's your phone number? Because that's actually more useful in proving that it's you, because you're the one who's actually holding that device you're trying to log into. That doesn't mean you have to memorize it, but it's probably a pretty good skill to have. An authenticator app is a program. It's another subscription-based thing that you can typically pay for. So Microsoft has one, Google has one. What they do is they add in their own level of two-factor authentication. So every time you log in, it will automatically send an extra code to your authenticator app. From there, it'll provide you with a code, or you have to click, yes, this is me who is attempting to log in, and that will prompt your extra step when you're logging in. Lots of large businesses and stuff who have really sensitive information won't use 2FA, they'll use 3FA or 4FA, and they add all these extra layers in. A lot of times they'll even have a physical USB stick, which only has its one job is to have a password on it. They have to put their password in, get the code, and physically plug something into the computer just to prove that it's actually them who is actively trying to use that device. Last year, you probably would have heard that there was the big Optus breach that happened. So basically what happened is these companies, every time you log into a website or something, that information has to be stored somewhere. So of the millions of customers with Optus, they got hacked and they got breached, and all these customers' sensitive information, so their usernames, their passwords, their email addresses, their home addresses, their phone numbers, were all leaked publicly. Which sucks, right? The reality is that sucks that these big corporations can't do it properly. But having this second layer of protection makes it so much more difficult for that to ever actually have an impact on you. So even if your username and password would be online, no one can access your account unless they're holding the physical device that you have. Luke talked about a password manager recently as well. A password manager is also a fantastic investment. This is because it's the general habit that we use the same password for most websites. It's just the reality. And yeah, of course.
Could you say that again a bit more slowly?
Sorry, I do tend to talk pretty quickly. Our password manager can be a really good investment as well. So Luke talked about these earlier, but what a password manager does, so we have a tendency to use the same password for all the different websites, just because it's convenient, I'm going to remember it, etc. But all it takes is for one Optus to get hacked, and your password that you share across all these different websites have all been leaked, and it gives people this way more access to your identity than they should have otherwise. So the advice is to use a different password for every single website, ideally, but then that becomes really difficult to remember. So what a password manager does for you is it will generate a random code, or a string of numbers and letters. It's this meaningless mumbo jumbo. That becomes your password. It's incredibly secure because of that, and it will be different for every single website. And then that password manager auto-fills that for you every time you want to log back into that program. And generally, they're surprisingly, they can be reasonably cheap for what they offer. So most password managers, you typically expect to pay about $5 a month for, which is a shame because that's going to stack up over a long period of time. But what that could save you in potentially getting scammed would be a much, much smaller amount realistically. That is mostly what I got a last tab. Here we go. So realistically, what can you do about it? As opposed to just panic. Unfortunately, there's realistically less that you can do than you might like. It's more opposed to what you shouldn't do with your phones. As I said at the start, the reality is your phone is pretty clever. It will only do things if you give it permission to do so. And then that goes back to what Luke said earlier, which is have a careful read first of all. Decide whether that's really something that's going to be helpful that you need to go ahead with. Couple of key points. Your bank will never ask for your login details. Don't engage with someone you suspect may be a scammer. When dealing with a phone call you think may be legitimate, ask them questions about what they know about you. Get them to prove themselves to you first. So, for example, it may be common that your bank might call you for a legitimate reason. And that's the case. If they're calling from the bank, they already know who you are and they already know your details. They don't need to ask you for them. So I'll do something. I had a call from my bank, being Westpac, recently. They said, "Oh, we need to do so and so for my EFTPOS machines I have at our shop." I asked them, "Okay, cool. Before we go ahead, can you tell me exactly how much is in my bank account?" Right? And so they told me the exact figure of what's in my bank account. Only Westpac knows that. I verified that they know more about me first before I have to go and give any information to them. Do not give access for remote access. So TeamViewer, AnyDesk. What's interesting, TeamViewer is a perfectly legitimate program, right? So I've had it. It used to be more common that people would actually, or these scammers would download dedicated malware onto your devices. It was a specific program. It did this. It was malware. And to anyone coming in as a professional to look at it, it was fairly obvious. These days, they don't actually need dedicated malware. They just install AnyDesk or a TeamViewer. And so it can be harder to find the initial issue because this is a perfectly legitimate program. It can just be used for malicious purposes. So typically, like Luke said, I have used TeamViewer and AnyDesk to help my customers before. Just make sure that it's someone that you have prior experience with and trust and is well reviewed before giving them permission to your device, because it can be a really useful tool. Do not click a link from a suspicious number or a suspicious email or whatever the case can be. Verify if a phone number is legitimately from the person who's calling you. So what I typically do is if I get a phone number, a phone call that I suspect may be legitimate, I will say, "Hey, can you give me a call back in 5 minutes?" And then I will just take their phone number and I'll Google it. So I got a phone call from Afterpay last week, asking for some more details from me. I was expecting Afterpay to call, but I still wanted to validate previously. I don't know what Afterpay's number is off the top of my head. So I got them to call me back. I Googled it. The first thing that comes up when I Google the phone number is Afterpay. Cool. They're calling me from Afterpay's phone number. I'm expecting that phone call. This call is really likely to be legitimate. It's very difficult to spoof, which is essentially steal the phone number of a proper, legitimate, actively operating business. And you can always call your bank first to verify a conversation you've had with someone. If a company is legitimately trying to contact you for legitimate information, they will have absolutely no issue you jumping off the phone for 3 minutes to call your bank. All right, it's when they try, yeah. Of course.
What if you put the phone number in and it's not Afterpay? What will it come up if it's a scam?
Gotcha. Usually nothing. So if it's nothing helpful at all, I had one last night where I missed a phone call, and I Googled it. It was just nothing. It was just mumbled. Like, if you don't Google something legitimate, Google just gives you random options and stuff. So I just didn't call them back because it's probably not someone I'm actually interested in talking to. Yeah. Yeah. If they're a legitimate person who's trying to contact you for a reason, they'll have no issues with you stopping for 3 minutes, calling your bank. It's the people who are trying to scam you. They go, "No, you stay on the line. This is time sensitive. This is so and so." They don't want you to go and validate the conversation that you're currently having. Generally, just let your phone do its thing. It's ultimately impossible to completely block incoming spam calls and messages, but your phone does a pretty good job. But I think it's always to try and understand the motivation behind a message to determine whether it is legitimate or not. So going back to how we talk about how scammers make their money, if I'm getting a phone call, what questions are they asking me? What do they stand to gain out of this? Is it for, are they trying to gain access to my device? Are they asking me sensitive questions that could be used to verify my identity? Or are they just simply asking me to take part in a survey for something that doesn't actually include any personal information? Like we have to determine what they stand to gain from this conversation. If they stand to gain access to your data, it's probably not going to be legitimate. But if they're just having a genuine conversation or what's the case, you're probably reasonably safe because of that. If you have a concern, reach out to a reputable, I wrote textpert, but I feel cringe saying it, who can help you either understand what has happened or what your next step should be if you have been jeopardized. Luke and I are always happy to have a conversation with you guys. If you think you've had this phone call, your bank's closed at the hopefully not closed at the same time we are, but we're more than happy to help you clarify a situation. If you think that you may have been jeopardized or given out too much information, we can help you with next steps. Both Luke and I offer services where we print out what's called an anti-malware report. Basically, we'll go through your device for you. We'll clear any remains of malware from that device. We'll also make sure all the newest security patches are installed, so your device is as secure as it could be. And then we'll print out a report that you can provide to your bank, because as soon as you're scammed, the first thing the bank does is close all your accounts. Well, not close your account, close all your access to the accounts. So your cards stop working, your logins all stop working, and they won't grant access until you can prove that it's safe to use again. And so what Luke and I's reports are something you can provide to the bank, which gives them confidence that they can reopen your accounts again. One thing that is a pretty cool tool is you can enroll your phone number in the following link. So this is actually a government website called donotcall.gov.au. It puts your phone number on a secure registry, which basically helps reduce being the key word here, unsolicited telemarketing calls. Feel free to take a photo or write this one down. I put my phone number in this about 2 years ago, and my telemarketing calls reduced by about 70%, I want to say. Again, it's not a perfect system, but this means that the giant reservoir that the government knows are known to be scam or telemarketing calls, you instantly get opted out of all of those phone numbers. You can also set your phone to block any number that isn't in your contacts, and you can ask your provider to block any numbers that's coming from overseas. But I think as you brought up earlier, both of these have their drawbacks. These will frequently filter out legitimate phone calls that are trying to come through to you. So it is quite common. It's a setting in your phone where if it's not in my contact list, just send it straight to voicemail. But again, if your doctor's trying to call you or someone who is legitimate, it's going to filter out those conversations as well. That's mostly what I got to talk about. Yeah, it's your...
I have a contract with Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And the other, 2 days ago, I ordered a new smoke detector.
Yep.
Through Amazon.
Yep.
They come back and ask me who I was.
Yep.
And had my address and everything.
Yep.
And it turned out they weren't sure, but they ended up using this as a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a number and give me a phone.
Cool.
I was on my laptop.
Yep.
Right, I put the number they gave me there into the laptop when they asked me.
Yeah.
And the question come through and they had all my details and everything else in it.
Yeah, okay. So what would happen is, in order to make a purchase from Amazon, you need to make an account with them.
Yep.
And your account will be synced between your devices.
Yep.
And so when you've either made an account or used it on your phone, it will have that number enrolled.
Yep.
And even if you use a computer, your number is saved across that account that you've made.
Well, they use it. They
yeah.
use my phone number in here and then give me a number to put into the
Yeah.
what I was trying to buy.
Cool, okay.
I knew who I was and everything else, everything was right.
Yeah, okay.
So it means that they're checking you to make sure you are the one that's doing the purchase.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why it's so helpful having the phone number, is because the best way to prove it is by me having it in my hand. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think there was a question someone asked over here earlier that said I was going to cover, and I've forgotten. Did someone remind me what that question was? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Apple, with the keystone passwords and all that in an Apple system,
Yep.
can you delete all them out and say just keep the passwords in a book and all of
You can.
Is it unsafe to leave the passwords in like the iCloud?
Generally, it's pretty fine. One of Apple's biggest selling points, especially a couple of years ago, was that they were really secure. One of the luxuries that Apple has is they get to tune their software specifically for the hardware that they make. Whereas with Windows, etc., you have this Windows, but it has to fit an entire, huge variety of devices, whereas Apple gets to make them specifically for what they're making. So they're generally really secure. Autofill and iCloud are really quite useful tools, especially if you end up losing a device. Then having that backup could be really helpful. I don't enjoy using iMacs or Apple devices, but generally, security-wise, they're pretty good. Yeah, question back. Yeah.
Is it safe to click on unsubscribe at the bottom of emails?
Yeah, so if you're confident that it is a legitimate email address, generally yes. So if you recognize the email and it's something that you may have signed up for in the past, getting rid of the unsubscribing is pretty good. Generally, if they have an unsubscribe button, it's a bit of a mixed bag because sometimes the unsubscribe could be used maliciously, but ultimately it's actually illegal in Australia to not have an unsubscribe button. So if they're putting one in there, it's because they're trying to be legitimate, in which case just having the button there at all probably means it's safer than not having one. Yeah. That's right. Cool. So they do make the claim that they're not listening. They don't have permission to use your microphones on the phone, which I'm not convinced I fully believe that they're not listening. But what they do is by learning your preferences, they advertise to you better. That's the motivation for them. So by learning more about you, what you're interested in, what trends you're following, all these different things, that means that they can not only sell your data, but they can provide you with more ads that are focused to your preferences, which means you're more likely to buy the item that's advertising to you, which means advertisers are going to pay more for the ads. In terms of who's listening, the data selling industry is a $1 trillion industry. It is massive. Anything with a microphone, realistically, they do say that they're not. But
I know the more that you look into it, if I was to sit down and look right into it, I'd probably end up in the corner with a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah.
I know that it's something that we just have to roll with. Not ideal, but the way I look at it, do I have anything to hide?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And for me, the only real downside as far as I'm concerned is that I see stuff I want to buy more. Like they're really just showing me stuff I'm already more interested in. It does make me uncomfortable that someone's just profiting from me scrolling. But ultimately, if I'm not buying something, it's not punishing me whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah, probably not. No one's getting paid with you doing that. So no one will do it. Yeah.
What can you do if the browser on your phone is hijacked?
Cool. So similar to Luke's example before of Control-Alt-Delete. So for those of you who don't know, Control-Alt-Delete is basically a computer power move where it will stop all current processes to allow you fundamental access to the computer, and then you can delete from there. Pardon? Yeah. So it's a similar thing. If you're using an iPhone, or for example, by going to the home screen, phones are set up differently to computers, where a computer can not allow you to exit whatsoever. On a phone, by clicking the home button and going to your lock screen, generally will completely cancel the program. So it's as simple as usually exiting the app and then removing it from your recently active programs. So if you, like on an iPhone with a button, you double click and swipe out of it, or on an Android, you go to your recent apps and swipe out of it. That will stop it from being currently active. There's a couple more things that you can do. If it's constantly doing pop-ups every single time you access the device, on both Apple and Android devices, you can go into your settings and it will have a list of your apps. You can click on Google Chrome and it will have a button for two things, which is clear the cache. The cache is basically all current active processes that the device is doing, and so that will clear all of your current tabs. And then you can also clear all of the data, which will completely wipe the app itself, and then you just have to sign back in and up your running again. Generally, phones, there's a lot less that we have to do than what Luke's doing with computers. They're significantly more secure and more powerful, and they make the tools quite easy for you. Yeah. Cool. Come back up. Yeah.
Great work, guys. Thank you for that. I think Luke and Sam deserve a massive round of applause for the information they've given. And there was a lot of information there, so if anyone has any questions, and please reach out and talk to Luke and Sam. Go to their business. They've got small local businesses in the areas, so please, instead of going online and buying your computers or buying your phones or buying your screen covers, please go and see them guys and get it directly from them straight away. So I'll be coming to get a screen cover very shortly, I'd say. Thank you for that. My friend. So, as I said, we have been doing a lot since coming into government. Scams has been one of the major parts of what we've been looking at, and Minister Stephen Jones has been doing a huge amount of work here. This has been predominantly one of the things he's been working on. He's the Assistant Treasurer, and this has been a huge focus for him and a huge task for his whole department. So today we've just got I'll read you the media release of what came out today. This just came out today. Of a media release from us from government. So, government joins cutting-edge intel tool to fight scammers. Today, the Albanese government will join a cutting-edge intel exchange between Australian banks, telecommunications companies, digital platforms, and the Australian Financial Crimes Exchange, or the AFCX. The National Anti-Scam Centre will join the AFCX Intel Loop, which enables near real-time data sharing between participants about the latest tactics and tools used by scammers. This partnership will increase the capacity to disrupt and intercept scammers' contact with victims and help identify and take down scammer websites. The NASC will share and receive intel such as scam phone numbers, URLs and bank accounts that are core tools to scammers use to ply their act. This means that whether a person reports a scam to a bank, a teleco or a scam watch, we can all use that intel loop to stop this scam from happening to more Australians straight away. Collaboration across the scam ecosystem is a core weapon the government is using to fight back against the scammers. This announcement comes after the Assistant Treasurer led a delegation of industry leaders to meet with New Zealand and Singaporean counterparts in Singapore in a show of strength against scammers. The Albanese Labor government is implementing a world-leading anti-scams plan that has already seen scam losses fall for the first time since 2016. So we haven't seen a fall in scams since then. So that's a great thing straight up. This includes standing up the National Anti-Scam Centre and funding the Australian Securities Investment Commission, or ASIC, and the Australian Communication and Media Authority, or ACMA, to take down fake investment websites and establish the SMS Sender ID register to stop scammers from spoofing trusted brand names. Already these tools have led to over 5,000 website takedowns and 100 million scam text messages blocked in the final quarter of 2023. The Albanese government is further strengthening consumer protections with legislation planned to impose tough obligations on banks, telcos and social media companies to get scammers off their services. So this is the quotes directly from Stephen Jones. We are positioning Australia as a leader when it comes to fighting scammers, and it's all about making this country the hardest place for scammers to operate. The idea of the Intel Loop is simple. It's about putting forward a united, coordinated front so scammers can't reach their victims. Scammers aren't mugs. They are cunning criminals who adapt and change their tactics, and we need to be able to do the same. Having near real-time data sharing is vital to that. So we are doing a lot in this space, and there is so much more to do, we know that. But some things that you guys can do also is if you get a message, a text message from a scam and you have an iPhone, you can swipe across. If you swipe right on that message, left on that message, hit delete, and it will go to, you can either delete it, you can delete and report as a scam, or you can just cancel out. So every time I get a message, I delete and report a scam. So to something that I do. I also don't answer numbers that I don't know, partially because it's people trying to ring me to usually abuse me, but that's okay. But I also have on there, if you don't get me, if you please leave a message, or if you can't get me, please contact Chad, my Chief of Staff, so he gets most of the calls. It's quite good. Yeah, unless they leave a message, I don't respond back to them, because they're either a scammer, they're someone that doesn't really want to talk to you. So, and as you said earlier, sir, that you have issues sometimes with your doctors and specialists and things like that. They in general always leave a message. So, and we brought up the National Australia Bank earlier today, Luke, and I have a vendetta against them right now because they're shutting the Cessnock branch. Yeah, and they had, what was it, Chad? How much billion dollars in profit? $7 billion in profit they had, and so they're shutting they think that's a good idea to shut the Cessnock branch, and so I took my banking away from them as well. So if you're unhappy with someone, take your services away from them. But anyway, that's a different argument we're having right now. Yeah. Because not enough people were using it apparently, so that was what we were told. No, why is it being? Yep.
So I'm not from the bank itself. Apparently there was people who were doing the wrong thing over there, and that had to bring in the security staff, which they had for something like 12 months, 18 months, and it was the cost involved in running the branch itself.
Yeah, okay, well,
So that's what I was told.
we heard very differently, I can tell you.
As well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I've always found it to be a fabulous branch.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and the people who've been using that branch have been very happy in the past, but now they're not going to be able to use that branch. And banks, but if you ask me, banks shouldn't be closing branches. Yeah, especially when they're making billions in profits. Yeah, so if they're losing money, a different story. Like you can't keep a financial business going if you're losing money. So but if they're making money and still closing branches, but anyway. And it's different between all banks. As Luke said, CommBank is probably the lead supplier at the moment in this area and doing the best at the moment. But all the banks will catch up, there's no doubt about that. But usually someone's going to lead the charge first, and CommBank has been that bank that does that. I do a lot of my banking with Westpac, and I haven't had any issues with those guys at this stage. But scams are so rampant in the whole of the community. It is horrendous. We had a forum in Canberra not long ago, and there was 5 people there that were talking to us about their situations they went through. One person in that group, right? They all lost large amounts of money, but one person I remember the most, extremely well-educated man, very successful business owner, multi-millionaire, lost around $4.5 million over 3 transactions. Yeah. So it doesn't just happen to people losing $10. It happens to people losing multi millions of dollars as well. So, and don't ever be embarrassed by it, because it happens. And you just got to get on top of it as soon as you can, and make sure that you're contacting your financial institution straight away as soon as you notice something different. And let's be honest, if it looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So yeah, you've got to be on top of it straight away. Yep.
Also, is it worthwhile contacting your office to inform you of the scam?
Always contact our office to inform us of scams. So if there's scams going around, because we obviously don't see everything and hear everything, but if people can contact our office and let us know, then we can get that out to other people as well. Yeah, and we're pretty active in the social media front and getting information out to people, so we are more than happy to do that. Yep.
I think we need to thank you for putting this on.
Oh, cheers! Thank you very much. I love my job. I enjoy what I do. There's not many jobs you can do where you're generally trying to help people every day of the week, and you actually can make a difference in their lives. So it's a great thing to be part of, and it's not just me, I can tell you. I have a fantastic team, which a lot of that team's here right now. We're only as good as our team, and I'm lucky that I've got an amazing team. So yeah, they deserve a round of applause too. Excellent. And So when you do you may get some unsolicited phone calls coming up into an election. Might be from the federal member, maybe, may not be. But yes, I will always leave a message if you don't answer my calls. So excellent, guys. Well, thank you for coming. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to email or reach out to us anytime. Thank you.